Hello from the Verby household. We are going into the Holy Week and I'm starting off Monday with the reflections for the Holy Week as also supported by Jan Such Picard, the writings of Jan Such Picard. And our Bible reading is Luke 19 verses 41 to 44. When he came in sight of the city, he wept over it and said, "If only you had known this day the way that leads to peace. But no, it is hidden from your sight. For a time will come upon you when your enemies will set up siege work against you. They will encircle you and hem you in at every point. They will bring you to the ground, you and your children within your walls, and not leave you one stone standing on another, because you did not recognize the time of God's visitation." And with Jan's reflection, if only you had known, had recognized, had accepted, had believed in, had worked out how to live in the way that leads to peace. If only. If only we could recognize it. If only we could find the courage to walk that way together. But seeing what has happened instead, it's only human to weep. Over the city, the place where people live together, so closely together, but in fact the place where they can't live together, where peace is an empty word, if only.
The piece was written by the author after returning from Jerusalem after a 3-month placement in the West Bank with the Ecumenical Accompaniment Program in Palestine and Israel, the EAPPI. If Jesus were to look out from the Mount of Olives today over the divided and disputed city, he would still weep. He would weep when confronted by the wall, the separation barrier around the West Bank, coming between Bethlehem and Jerusalem, and cutting through the lives of thousands of Palestinians.
Jan says, "I believe God is weeping now over Israel and Palestine, over men without jobs, homes demolished, women mourning, families divided, babies born at checkpoints, weeping over a century of conflict, of cautious coexistence, colonial rule, international intrigue, promises by politicians, meeting after meeting, hopes raised, hopes dashed, over persecuted people yearning for a place to call home, Jewish families who made the journey of a lifetime, a journey of faith over a disaster in which thousands of Arab families lost their homes and still nearly 60 years on, scattered around the Middle East, live as refugees."
Weeping about wars over territory, violence over ownership of holy places, weeping because the occupation has lasted for nearly 40 years, weeping for the attempts to shake it off, for children throwing stones, men living by the gun, and people living in fear, with prejudice, young Israeli men and women confused by misusing the power of uniforms and weapons, desperate young Palestinian men and women who destroy themselves and complete strangers because they see no other way. Weeping for politicians on both sides, politicians with no real power to change things, politicians whose power is reinforced by foreign funding, weeping for the complacency of people like ourselves, thousands of miles away, weeping for a situation that continues because of the world's apathy.
God weeps over what people are doing to each other. These are people who, in their hearts of heart, through their common humanity, know there's another way. Their daily greetings to each other, shalom, salam, both mean peace. They yearn for peace, for their families, for each other. Many wish that they could live in peace with their neighbors, but they are betrayed by their own history and they have become hostages of world politics. In their anger, hurt, disillusion, despair, they can no longer find or follow the way that leads to peace, and they have no tears left. How can we weep at this? God is weeping for all of us.
A prayer. Weeping God, you came to share our lives, and still you share the vulnerability, the suffering and desolation of human beings in the land that we call holy, and in many other places, made holy by your presence. May we recognize your presence amid each mess we've made. Give us your painful blessing of tears for all we've done and all we cannot prevent. In the salt of tears, may we taste our common humanity, and through them, help us to see the way that leads to peace. Amen.
And as we are going into Monday, I want to offer you 3 questions for further reflection. 1. Where do you feel God is weeping in other places in the world just now? 2. What in your own country, in our own country, community or family might make God weep? And 3. In these situations, can you see the ways that could lead to peace? May God be with you today.